Black, please.
Yeah, bro, I'm trying to power up my iPad.
I want it to blend.
Say less.
Oh, black.
Get it? Say less.
Okay. Yes, thank you. You've been on one today, Cal. You've been on one today.
Yeah. Right? You really has.
You really.
And we are live. Do not adjust your sets. It is the return of 94 Feet of Life, special Sunday edition. Training camp starts in 2 days. The season is here, so we here. Remember, 94 Feet of Life is the Facebook group. Scene is the family. Make sure you're following us on Facebook. Scene, all capital letters, SCEN, as my man MJ is astutely pointing out. If you're on YouTube, which you should be, capital T, lowercase HE, Scene, all uppercase. We got a full house today. Trav, a.k.a. Rondé Barber, a.k.a. Hardy Nickerson, will be joining a little bit. But we told y'all, we've been talking about this for about 2 weeks, and we are here. The best 25 since Jordan retired. And we made an executive decision. We're going to give y'all a part 2 of the debates, the behind the scenes. We're going to do a little bit of it tonight just to kind of give you a little bit of a preview. But we made our list. We tell y'all to make your own list. We made ours. So I'm going to swing the introductions around the horn real fast so we can get this in. We know y'all like Sunday Night Football. We want to get to that too. But we got to talk about this best 25. I'm going to start off somewhere in Shelby County, Tennessee. It's my main man, J Ham. J Ham, what's happening?
Make your own goddamn list. That's where we get with this. That's where the energy is. I hate making these lists, man. These top 20s, 15, 10s, 5s, all that. But if I get to do it with my squad, it becomes a fun, group project, science fair type deal that we like to get down with. So let me swing this around, kick that on over to True. Let True shoot the jumper from deep.
Hey, I am a shooter. That's what we did. It's all net. Hey, man, check this out, man. I'm just excited to do this list. This list had us we literally were conversing about this list, going back and forth about a couple of players. We had a lot of the same players around. It's just the places that they at, which is going to be the most interesting part. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to kick it to my guy, MJ, because, the fadeaway is perfect.
Man, you already know, man. If content is king, you're looking at royalty, man. Live on the same, man. Brought to you by Monkey Knife Fights. Go ahead and join if you are eligible to gamble. Go ahead and sign up. Tell them the same sent you. All you gotta do is put in THESCEN in the promotion, and you'll get an extra up to $100 on the behalf of the same. So we want to make sure that y'all getting this green like we getting it. Let me go ahead and shoot that over to one of the best coaches and the best basketball minds that I know. Worldwide, let's tell them what's next.
Hey, that is quite the introduction. I appreciate that. I'm ready, man. This is something that we talked about summertime, early mid-summer. This is the list of all lists.
Yeah.
Let's get it going, man. Let's get it going. So just to give some people context on the criteria, as my main man Don Magic Juan would say, stats, awards, rings came into play, but it was not the deciding factor. We got to get y'all off of this whole rings is everything. So rings played a factor, but not everything. An impact on the culture. And we talk about the culture. We talk about the culture of the game. So all that came into play. The time frame we are looking at, we are talking 2000 to 2017. Now, I know y'all are saying, but Jordan didn't retire technically until 2013. Yeah, we're not really counting Wizards years. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We ain't really counting that.
He went in the playoffs of the Wizards, so now we ain't counting that.
And 2017 is a little too early. You're not even out your rookie deal yet. So 2017 is a little too early. So let's start. We're gonna adjourn. Let's go not behind the scenes. He's right there with us. He's gonna throw up the play screen. We're gonna start off with number 25.
Actually, we're gonna start off with honorable mentions.
We're gonna start with some honorable mentions. So here are some folks that, and Jeremy will throw this up, guys who were definitely in consideration. I will say this on Ron's original list. If I could, my list, two of those guys were on my list. Kyrie Irving on my original list was 22, and Chris Webber was 24 on my list. Did any of y'all have Kyrie, Webb, or Ginobili on your original list?
I had C-Webb at 24.
I had Manu at 25.
I had neither. I had Klay Thompson.
I didn't. I had Yao Ming. Yao Ming was on my list.
So when we do part two, the debate section, I think Chris Webber's name will come up again because that was a tough omit for me personally. Getting C-Webb, I think for Kyrie, it was kind of a case of just not enough body of work. And Kyrie's availability was part of that. Like Kyrie has missed a lot of time. He's had a great career. He missed a lot of time. And Ginobili, man, and I know, Jern, you talked about this one. I'm going to let you jump back in real quick. Ginobili got the resume. Like, if you talk about the basketball resume, ain't too many people messing with Ginobili.
He was fantastic. I mean, we're talking about a dude who, in a lot of different ways, was probably and arguably the second most important Spur for a good stretch of some of the championship years. Excellent playmaker, very, very good scorer basketball player. He just a fantastic player, man. So when I thought about the guards and the different players, Ginobili just was one of those guys. It was hard for me to not at least have an honorable mention. And as you said about Kyrie, just to piggyback off you said, it's just he doesn't have. It's not that he's not a great basketball player. It's just he doesn't have enough accolades to really even be on the list. And I think that's really the key thing for Kyrie moving forward. But again, this list is going to probably change every year. We're going to have people fall in and out. So this is just the first. This is volume 1 of many volumes for years to come. So, I mean, whoever else want to jump in right there on the Ginobili or Kyrie or Webber tip, go ahead.
I can jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this briefly. As of right now, y'all see the honorable mentions. Being number 26, 27, 28, and I don't know, 17-year span of all of the NBA hoopers that played is definitely not a slap in the face. So it's a lot of players that are really good that did not make the list, but that doesn't mean that, they're not 30 or 34th or 35th. So order is preference. We did our best to take our personal preferences out of this to be able to, follow a criteria and stick with that criteria and do what we can from there. So as far as Kyrie Irving is concerned, missed games, we talked about it. Chris Webber, for me, he didn't make my original only because if we're talking about the 2000s and up, injuries robbed him of what he really was. 2002 was probably his peak season. Once he tore his Achilles, he was a shell of himself. And as far as Ginobili goes, he is the definition of opportunity versus skill. He's skilled enough to, if he was to be a starting 2 guard, to have way better numbers, but his opportunity for him to win championships came at the 6-man position. Remind me a lot of when Harden was the 6th man in Oklahoma City. Imagine if he stayed a 6th man. We would never see the Harden we see today. Now, am I saying Manu will have those type of numbers? Well, it depends on the system and the opportunity. But let's not get it twisted. Just because Manu was a 6th man does not mean he was not like that.
So, with that being said, you could do the drum roll to yourself. We're going to start with number 25.
Chris Bosh.
Chris Bosh. Now,
11-time All-Star.
This was an argument in 94 feet 11, and I want to explain this to y'all one more time. If you make the All-Star team 10 times and you win 2 chips, you are an automatic Hall of Famer. Automatic.
First ballot.
What you think? Chris Bosh's numbers line up with James Worthy. They line up with Kevin McHale, who everybody would say first ballot, no debate. So
Right.
Bosh at 25, Les, you could jump. So we're gonna do open conversation. So everybody just jump in. Bosh at 25. How'd you feel about it?
Bosh is a Hall of Famer, first and foremost. And how I feel about Bosh being on the list is he's deserving. He's more than deserving to be on the list. He was on my original list for the fact that he was a Hall of Famer. I mean, like those Raptors years, we can't discredit that, those Raptors years, because he was definitely one of the best at his position in the league. And then we got to look at it also is he got voted in 11 times as an All-Star by the coaches. There was no fan vote. It was by the coaches. So the respect that he had amongst, the league 11 times, like that in itself was enough for me for him to be, in the top 25. Whether he's not the most, I would say, attractive pick for people. He's not the most attractive pick. Wow, Chris Bosh, he ain't doing that. Actually, he did. I mean, he contributed a lot to the Big Three. I mean, he helped make history there in Miami as well. So, yeah, Chris Bosh is more than deserving to be on this list and in the Hall of Fame, easily.
There you go. All right, number 24. Ray Allen. MJ, I know MJ, you have an affinity for the two-guard position.
Of course.
Ray Allen at 24. What about it?
Ray Allen has evolved and showed himself in 3 decades of him being a problem. Even though we're not counting the 90s, he was athletic guard who could make shots. Yeah, he could shoot threes, but he was doing so much more than that. As he got to the 2000s, he was able to take his game and take the three-point shot and make it a weapon to the point where he literally put fear in the hearts of other people. I don't think anybody could understand how clutch he was. He has had his first half of his years as being the man of the team, the go-to guy, the number one option. And he has done a great job of that, and he has gotten his team to the playoffs. Then he went to Boston and Miami and settled in on a role in which he still was looked at as the guy to take the big shot. Defense was very underrated. He competed on that end. Everything that you say for my 90s people, everything you said about Reggie Miller, Ray Allen was that and a little bit more, in my opinion. So he is well deserving of this 24.
I'm just going to say I thought he should have been higher.
I had him right about at 24 myself.
Yeah, on my original list, he was either 19. I have my original. He was either 19 or 20. I think people kind of sometimes forget. Like you have the Boston, like his Boston and Miami years get a lot more publicity. That's why I put this picture up of him in Seattle.
Right, remind him.
Seattle. All stuff that we love. That shout out Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Ray Allen was doing that in Seattle. Off the dribble. Catch and shoot, off the dribble, pin down, scoring any type of way. So Ray Allen at 24, I'm definitely with it. Drum roll to 23, and Ham, you're going to talk about whoever 23 is.
My guy, Big Sad. What is he? 3 or 4-time defensive player of the year. Look, his Orlando portion alone is Hall of Fame worthy. Yep. Just his time, his 8 years in Orlando is Hall of Fame worthy. Monster on the glass, monster defensively. you listen to some of the shooter interviews with like Gilbert Arenas and whatnot, and talking about just his defensive prowess in general. He hit the skids a little bit after Orlando, but it's like you can't take away what he laid before that. And I also add in dunk champion because that's part of the culture and impact.
Yeah.
Just them being that fun, free loving type of dude that way, but Dwight got work, man. And now he's a champion. Like Big Shot said a couple years ago when he won a championship, he's very non-Christian like these days.
Hilarious.
But
Hotel Dwight. Hotel Dwight.
but it gets it done though. So he definitely worthy. Where did I have Dwight on my list? On my personal, I had him at 18. So yeah, that's not too far off. But I had him on there.
Yeah.
It's cool.
He
I'm
was
cool with
was
23.
the toughest player to judge for me because Dwight literally has had two careers.
Right.
Ham is about it. There's Orlando, and then there's everything after Orlando. So
I compared him to Eddie Kane Jr. on 5 Heartbeats. The first years before he started doing drugs, that was the Orlando years of Dwight. When he started doing drugs, when he started feeling like he was more than what his role was, that's when they had to keep jumping chains. Unfortunately, what held back Dwight from being a top 10 for me is him not just accepting what he does really good and just being that. He wanted to be a number one option on offense. He wanted all of these things, and the game just wasn't translating to that.
Mm-hmm.
And if he would have just did what he did in LA for the last 8 seasons prior to that, yeah, I think I would have made a hard argument, about him being top 10. But he didn't.
I like the comparison that you made with Eddie Kane Jr., and I'd even flip it to another Dwight in the sports world, Dwight Gooden. And just not as, of course, extreme because Dwight Howard was not on drugs, but you saw those certain elements that changed, especially in reference to the Eddie Kane, play. So, beside a career, man, he gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer regardless of who think he is or not.
Yep.
All right, number 22, Jerma Les. You can lead.
I'm gonna let Les do this one. Vince Carter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Les right now, currently on the move. So Jerm,
Air Canada.
About this in the pre-show meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have Vince. I'm a Vince Carter fan. I did not have Vince on my 25.
I didn't either. I can tell you why.
I'm gonna be honest. He would have been 24 for me. And I think Ray Allen, to me, I think Ray Allen was a better basketball player than Vince Carter. That doesn't mean that Vince was trash. I just think Ray Allen was better as a basketball player, just all the way around. I think Vince, for him to have the career that he had, to be fair to him, it's still a spectacular career. We're talking about a dude who he still has the best dunk probably ever. He's probably still one of the best in-game dunkers we've ever seen. But most importantly, Vince did develop a very, very solid jump shot over his career as well. That's something that a lot of people don't give him credit for. He developed a lot of good things, and he competed on the defensive end. So I think when it comes to Vince, it's just hard to rank him ahead for me for Ray Allen. But he definitely deserves to be in the conversation, considering especially this is just volume 1 of the list.
I think Vince, and I'm gonna go right to you. I think this is where what you do for the culture of the game comes into play.
Yeah.
Vince is the godfather of Canadian basketball.
Yeah.
The reason not the reason, but you see all these young dudes, the Wiggins, the Murrays, Tristan Thompsons, a lot of this Canadian influence is attributed to Vince. And that can't be underestimated, MJ.
Not even just Canadian influence in basketball, but just in culture in general. Drake said Vince had an influence on him. What Vince did was he was able to take something that was American and give it to that culture and show that with work, with talent, with effort, you can strive to get to this point too, in which a lot of Canadians adapted not just the basketball culture, but the hip hop culture, and look where it's going to. Like, that's the difference between him and Ray. Skill for skill, I think John makes an extremely valid point. But as far as influence, it's just not a lot of people that was like, man, I am about to strive to be Ray Allen. It was a lot of people. He had a whole country trying to be like Vince.
That's interesting. And that's interesting when you bring in the culture aspect, even with Ray, because Ray still has a character that still holds up today. A fictional character, you know what I'm saying? But in in comparison to Vince, I definitely agree with what you're saying, though. But it's just the odd nature of it.
It's just one of them situations too. Like I like the fact that we brought the culture aspect into it as well, because Ray Allen. The only reason why Ray Allen wouldn't be a godfather of any culture is because Ray Allen comes from another cultural tree, and that would be the more Reggie Miller type of tree, where it's a great knockdown shooter that has the ability to score. You know, so I like the way you put that, MJ, and I just wanted to throw that little nugget in there too before we went to 21.
Yeah, and for Ham, and we're gonna go to 21 for Ham. Yes, he got game, was a cultural icon, but I will say this: that was in the 90s. That came out in the 90s. We're talking.
It's true. It's true.
So just to kind of give us a little, we're gonna play
also,
a little.
I do.
Go ahead.
Can I add something on Vince? And I'll take this a step further on the personal aspect of Vince. Right now, I have a Canadian guy on my team. Before a couple years, the best player I've ever, and he literally had a Vince Carter rookie jersey that he would come in and wear around. You get what I'm saying? And he was born the same year that Vince was drafted to the Raptors.
Wow.
So Vince, to me, is definitely on a personal one. I've seen how much Vince has meant to Toronto personally. Just being able to recruit that area and go so that impact on that whole country.
All right. So just to kind of give us a little pace and space. All right. So Jerm, give us 21 and 20.
So here's 21, Anthony Davis, and 20 is Tracy McGrady.
6 months from now, those names will probably flip. Simply because one is just going to continue to add on, accolade-wise, accomplishment-wise, whatever the case. But you look at number 20 with T-Mac, at one point during this stretch, he was arguably, he was a top 5 player without question.
Yeah.
It was like, that's not even debate. You could talk about the shortcomings in the playoffs and this, that, and the other. Yeah, he was doing that while he was first team All-NBA with no help. And I'm putting the quotations up there for real, because it was like, yo, they was depleted. He didn't have his running mate in Grant Hill. You know, he had a depleted roster. They made trades, this, that, and the other thing just fell apart. And there's something about wearing that number 1 in Orlando that just don't work out injury-wise and whatnot. I hate that it's the case, because what we didn't get from the original number 1 in Orlando, we were able to at least get that from this number 1, and let's get him in the Hall of Fame. So that's cool with me. Worthy of the spot, though.
Now, Anthony Davis becomes our first active guy.
Right.
To make the list. And he will not be the last, as y'all about to see. I will say this, fellas. Anthony Davis winning that ring got him on the top 5 for me.
Absolutely.
And again, we try to not do rings or everything, but the arguments that we made against Kyrie Irving would have been the same arguments we made against Anthony Davis.
And
availability.
Yep.
availability. But Anthony Davis in his 9 years, because this is about to be year 10 for Anthony Davis. He's racked up Olympic gold medal. He's been a 25-10 guy almost on a regular basis for more than half of that. He is what the modern NBA power forward looks like. 6'11", skilled, can really do everything on the court. So Anthony Davis at 20, I'm comfortable with. But I will say, in honesty, the ring helped. The ring definitely helped.
It helped him. Anthony Davis and Tracy McGrady, if I was to create my own player as to how I think the game should be played and what I would want on my team, it would look like both of those guys. That's pretty much why they made it. They literally are the prototypical player that you want for their position. It's just injuries and a little bad luck robbed us of seeing what they really could do if they had what they needed. Anthony Davis just showed you a snippet in 2020 in the bubble.
Right. All right, Germ, take us to 1918, and then you're going to
Steve Nash and Russell Westbrook.
Now, look, before you go, Jared, this is so poetic. Can we find, guys, any two dudes who played their position completely the opposite way? As Nash.
It's crazy.
And both won MVPs doing so.
Jern, Westbrook, 19 and 18.
Start off with Steve Nash. Steve Nash is probably one of those guys that you a lot of people don't understand just how crazy it was those back-to-back MVP years for Steve Nash was. Talk about the year with 1 year without Amari, then we come back another year with Amari in that situation or scenario. And just the way that he was able to get that team going, Steve Nash is the reason why Mike D'Antoni ultimately has kept a job in the NBA.
That's true.
He worked for Nash.
Hey, ain't that? See how life comes full circle.
There goes your impact right there.
So you look at those things, but if you look at that from a prototypical point guard, pick and roll guy, all of those different things. I mean, what we say can we say this is the light version of what John Stockton was? Yeah. Better jump shot.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't. I wouldn't say better jump shot. John was just a little bit more rounded all the way, on both ends. And John didn't really. They kind of were the same offensively though, because John jump shot was butter. Steve was butter as well. Steve was more assertive. Assertive.
You know what I say? I say that, and that's a good word. Here's what I say. Steve was a little bit more crafty and fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we talking flow. We talking. I remember some games where we talking Steve Nash doing a left leg floater in the lane.
Yeah,
coming off pick and roll passes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we go to Westbrook. I'm gonna pass it right to you, Big Shot. Listen, man. Every time I see Westbrook, I think of Meet the Roadrunner, because that's just how he plays the game. He's always ripping and running. He's always up and down the floor. Great energy and everything else like that. I mean, look at the picture. Look at the passion. The dude is a great basketball player. I mean, say what you want to say about Russ, but Russ is a hell of a basketball player, and it's his motor alone in a lot of different ways is something that I think people really, really don't give enough credit for, to talk about it objectively. So go ahead, Big Shot.
He is for me, Russell Westbrook. I know it's not a trait or whatever. Russell Westbrook is one of the 5 greatest athletes the league has ever seen. Just purely on he's on this list because his athleticism is unbelievable, and he's a maniacal competitor, for better or for worse. Russell Westbrook, as MJ talked about in the scene pregame, has never cheated you. No. And, we used to sometimes, and I think sometimes we were all guilty of this. We would laugh about him getting, we would kind of clown the Oscars in the season-long triple-doubles. But take a step back away from that. You get Oscars 4 out of 5 years. Season-long Oscars 4 of the last 5 years. And you getting 20, 25 a night. You just, for all of his flaws, man, I will count myself as one of these people who probably has not given him his due the way I should have. And Coach Les, I know you are a connoisseur of the point guard position. I hope he can get back on with us. And he might not play the game really the way you would want necessarily, but he had to be on. He had to. It's the sheer volume of his numbers. It's insane.
And let's talk
Russ was on my list. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Russ was on my list. Russ was actually 25 on my list. And you guys know from talking to me throughout the years, my only gripe with Russell Westbrook is I wish he could have found a way to make it work with KD. And the thing about it is that I'm not putting all the blame. KD is a grown man. He left. He wanted to go do something new, which nothing is wrong with that. But I think that those two together, even without Harden, I think those guys have 1 or 2 championships in them together. But I just think Kevin Durant's temperament and Russ, it didn't mix. It just didn't mix. And a lot of the times KD was taking the brunt of it. He was taking the brunt of it. Oh, he can't lead his team. He's doing, and I just think that Russell Westbrook being the point guard, because that's the position they say he is, you got to find ways to make that work. You got to find ways to make that, like, as the point guard, you are the leader on the floor. And I just feel like maybe, maybe sometimes he could have took a backseat.
I'm going to say this and let me get out of it. Here's the irony of 19 and 18. 19 is what every coach wished their point guard would be. But 18 is what every coach will recruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I disagree.
No, but let me explain
Russell
why.
Westbrook,
Russell
Westbrook's size.
Then you will recruit 18 and try to turn them into 19.
Now you can't, because what 18 has is God given. The size, the athleticism, that's God given. Like, and that's what, and I love, and the thing about it is, I love Russell Westbrook because how hard he plays, but at that, like I said, the point guard position, to me, now if he played off the ball, everything he would do would be fantastic. It'd be fantastic. I wouldn't have an argument with it at all. If he played off the ball, if he was Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal was doing it'd be awesome. But when you're that point guard, there's certain sacrifices you have to make. In my opinion, no. At the point guard position.
No,
so for me, that's the only thing. That's the only thing. But he was still on my list. He was still in my top 25 because at the end of the day, he is just that good.
And less respectfully,
at the end of the day, he is just that good.
Less respectfully, you are not like every other coach. So what you're saying is great, but if you line up 100 coaches, 90 of them taking Westbrook. You're one of the 10.
Hopefully, I will still have a job after that.
Give us 17 and 16.
Paul Pierce, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Two other guys who
it's a lot of I go back and look at this list and the way this has tapered off right now. Wow. God has a sense of humor.
God has a
He
sense
really
of humor.
does.
So let me say this. Let me say this about Paul Pierce, and I'm gonna make this very quick so we can keep it flowing. Don't ever be confused about what Paul Pierce was as a player just because you may not like Paul Pierce, the personality.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
Paul Pierce holding records for a staple franchise in this league.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the
Keep talking.
Boston Celtics, historical franchise. Go look at the record book. Paul Pierce's name is on there often.
And
Paul Pierce was a bucket.
And up high.
Paul Pierce was a bucket.
We're talking 1, 2, 4, 5. He's top 5 Celtic, right. Dead or alive. He top 5 Celtic. So
that's what I'm conversation right there on Paul Pierce. You may not like how he talk it. Believe me, Paul Pierce got all the resume and all the game and everything you want. I'm glad he's actually this high on the list because I thought, we talked the game a lot, but I thought, man, people don't really like how Paul moved, but I'm glad he's this high on the list.
I had Paul at 17 on my list. I had him exactly at 17.
I had him exactly at 17 on my list as well.
And the thing about it is, I don't even know if we still got to talk about Paul. I think we need to go to Chris Paul. I think we just need, because I don't know if that. Yeah, I think we go to Chris Paul. Because like Paul Pierce, he cemented. Like there's no. I don't think there's an argument. CP3 deserves to be on this list. He might be the best point guard that we've had since the timeline. He might actually be the best one. It'll be arguments there. No, he doesn't have MVPs like Steve Nash, but Chris Paul has found a way to win, to help his teams win, to be better than they were before he got there.
And that's, to me, Ham, get over you on Chris Paul. And to me, Les, that's why he's there. Every team he's gone to has gotten better immediately when he showed up.
And let's talk about it.
Go ahead.
Second in MVP vote behind Kobe in 2008. The multiple times that he's been All NBA. First team, second team. The multiple times he's on All NBA defense. First or second team. Multiple times he's led the league in steals. Multiple times he's led the league in assists. He's just been in around for 16, 17 years at this point. He came in at 05 and he came through the door getting it done.
Yes.
The uniform that you see on the photo, nobody in that uniform for that organization had more to do with that organization having any type of success prior to anything that they've done. They got to the Western Conference Finals this year, but they had never put together a string of seasons to where they were that successful until Duke got there.
Chris Paul got people to take the Los Angeles Clippers serious.
Absolutely.
He made that place
a long, not for a season or two, for a stretch.
He sowed some great seeds down in Los Angeles with the Clippers. Like he clearly he was the foundation of what Kawhi went to the Clippers. He got Paul George to convince him to go to the Clippers. Chris Paul is so good that he had Dennis Schroeder thinking that he deserved more money, that he was $100 million guy. Think about that. Chris Paul is the reason why the Lakers made that trade for Dennis. And then Dennis, in his head, $80 million is not enough. Think about that. That was Chris. That is all Chris.
MJ, Jerm, Paul.
I'm gonna say this real quick. I got one thing to say. We can talk about Chris Paul never winning certain things and never being, this the champion and everything else like that. But Chris Paul, every team he's been on has been the most mentally tough player on his roster. And I think that's part of why he's never been on a championship team. MJ.
The only thing I'll touch on is impact off the court. He has an AAU team that manufactures NBA players by the year.
Yep.
He also does camps every summer that prepares guards and other players alike for the NBA every year. He's keeping the game going in addition to all of the things that you guys said. So his impact off the court, you could see his imprint in a lot of y'all favorite guards. You could see a little sprinkle of Chris Paul, like, oh, that looked familiar. That's, to me, he's continuing his legacy even when he retires.
I'll say this before we wrap on him. Imagine if that series that we had in July flipped the other way and where he would land then with the type of season that they had.
Yeah. Jerm, go ahead and put 15-14, but I will tell you, Ham, to your point, if they win this, Chris Paul's in the top 10.
Easy.
They had won that series.
Easy.
He top 10. 15-14. So who was 15, Jerm?
Carmelo
the Bucket Anthony. And we got board man who gets paid, Kawhi Leonard.
2 at the small forward position. 2 guys who really should have played in the 80s, to be honest.
Yeah.
We talk about the best 25s as Jordan retired. Both of these dudes really should have been playing in 88. Carmelo, keep it simple. Just maybe of this list, arguably maybe just the best pure scorer other than a dude who will come up later. The best scorer of his generation. He has been 20 to 25 a night from the first day he stepped into a gym in 2003. And for almost 12 and for 13 years, that's what it was. Just a tremendous scorer. He's currently 9th on the all-time list in points, which is unbelievable. We could get up to, I think, to 7, depending on how the year go. Just a consistent scorer who I believe has gotten a bad rap through a couple of experiences. But between that white line, there he's been a bucket. He's been a bucket for the better part of 18 years.
And he still won.
And still won.
I'm just gonna say this as I wrap up about Melo and go right to Kawhi. For whatever reason, y'all, whatever hatred y'all got toward Carmelo Anthony, just take it and just throw it away. Just do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Not do anything extra. Make sure you take that hate and you take it and you do something productive with it. Carmelo Anthony to basketball is very, very important. His story alone could change the whole complexion of a couple of franchises in particular, and one of them is the Pistons. That's all I'm gonna say. Going to Kawhi.
Can I say something about Melo?
Yes.
And all of you guys know how Melo, what he means in my for basketball for me. And I will say this, and people will think I'm crazy. Melo probably should have been rookie of the year or co-rookie of the year. That was taken away from him. That was taken away from him because the Denver Nuggets won 15 games before he got there. Rookie season, 41 wins, playoffs. And he went to the playoffs with the Nuggets every year he was there. They hadn't made the playoffs for 8 years. He gets there 7 straight. 7 straight. And that's something that's not talked about enough. That for whatever reason, going to New York and all that, and y'all know, can't nobody say nothing. Like I'll champion for Melo until he's done and afterwards. And we won't appreciate him until he's gone. Until he's retired in 5 years from now. And Melo, that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna revere Melo like like people revere Bernard King now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what's gonna happen. Adrian Dantley, Ronaldo Blackman, those guys. That's who Melo's gonna be after he retires, and that's what he will be revered. How people run around talking about Rod Strickland right now. Rod Strickland was always that. That's how Melo's gonna be. People won't revere Melo till he's gone.
Hey, we know Adrian Dandle was a bucket, but I don't think we really like him.
That's true too.
Kawhi at 14. MJ.
Very simple. You see the jersey he got on? That right there solidified his spot in the top 15 post-Jordan era. The dude did everything, sell popcorns, cut grass, sold parking tickets, everything. So when you look at a guy, when they talk about this term, in which I hate, meaning two-way player, I don't believe in that term at all. But I've never seen a dude personally at this level that is able to score on you and lock you up with the same amount of intensity and commitment as Kawhi Leonard. I haven't seen it since Kobe at that position. I haven't seen it since Kobe. And he literally turned defense into a skill.
Mm-hmm.
He turned it into a skill. Like and not many people, usually defense is an effort, hard hat, lunch pail type deal. He turned stealing the basketball into a skill.
MJ, can I say something else?
Go for it.
This is coming from a football guy too. When I say this, his defensive instincts are probably the best we've ever seen. Like the way he moves, his body movements on the floor always set up for him to be in position to make a play defensively. Like he has plays where you will watch this man literally flip his hips and be able to slide to a certain place, but then turn around in the same place and be able to take a step or slide back to the left or to the right and be able to get into a passing lane. And it's very, very different in his subtle movements. It just feels like he's always in a good position. And most importantly, you notice Kawhi don't try to block a lot of shots necessarily. It's always a nice, solid contest. And if he can get to the ball, he gets to the ball. Yeah. So it's all those little small things to go along with the fact that we talking about a guy, and this is something that Trav could attest to. And I'm gonna hold it down for Trav real quick for like 5 more seconds here. When we talk about this, we talk about a guy who started off with a 15-foot jump shot, and that 15-foot jump shot turned into, okay, now I can hit that 15-footer. Now I'm gonna step out and hit a corner three. Now I'm gonna take this nice little pump fake and one hard dribble in and take the 17-footer. He grew and developed his entire game, and now he is a full-fledged 25 a night guy.
And will lock you up.
Hey, he might be the one guy that's on the list of everybody that we got that's got the fastest ascension to the spot that he's at. Because you got to remember, he started out as he also may be the only non-lottery pick we have on there with him and Nash. Maybe the only couple of non-lottery picks that we have on there. And he was kind of that project for San Antonio. But the 14 finals created this new narrative for him. The narrative, of course, was that he killed LeBron, which he really didn't, but he stepped up big and played well in the series. And from there, it just rolled on. This is after that, you get 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Then he becomes that alpha dog in San Antonio till they fucked it up. But that's a whole nother story for another day. And then he makes the transition up north. If Vince is the godfather of Canadian basketball, well, here's your Royal Highness of Canadian basketball.
All right, we're getting into the top half of the list. We definitely want to get to the football, but we gotta get. We going through the whole list. We giving y'all the whole show here. 13,
Jason Kidd, and number 12 is James Harden.
You talk about dudes who couldn't be any more different.
I'm gonna say this about J. Kidd real quick. J Kidd, in my opinion, is outside of Isaiah and Stockton. In my opinion, I think J Kidd could argue to be the greatest point guard we've ever seen play basketball. The way he commanded the floor, coach on the floor. I mean, I don't think there's any point guard in history that probably could have got. I mean, and that's no man. I marvel at what Jason Kidd has done as a basketball player.
What he did for the Nets.
He literally took Kenyon Martin and some and factory workers to the finals, back to back.
Twice.
Back to back. Like, think about that. Todd McCullum, Alvin Williams,
Aaron Williams, and Lucius Harris.
Yes.
And like Chris Paul, he made the teams that he went to got better immediately. And he goes back to Dallas. An older version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They win. He gets to the Knicks. Old. They have the best season. But shout out to this new Knicks. But before this new Knicks team, the J Kidd Carmelo Knicks was 55 win. With an old kid. He just
talk to him.
No, talk about know-how, the great passer, unbelievable IQ.
And he was
my favorite. He's my personal favorite point guard ever.
And he was doing the triple-double thing.
Yeah.
He was doing it without doing it. He was just playing basketball. And he probably could have went back in the game and got a couple more assists, a couple more rebounds, a few more buckets. He was playing to win the game like point guard.
It went from being a cat that wasn't a noted deep ball shooter to being one of the top deep ball shooters ever.
And number 12, simply put, as far as a volume scorer, which I know some talk about bad rap, as a volume scorer, the best volume scorer at the 2 guard spot since Kobe and Mike left.
I'm gonna say one thing.
He's just an incredible offensive player.
Y'all like Belly, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the illest N-word from Nebraska right there.
True.
That's the coldest left-hand player. I'm y'all may be mad when I say this. That's the coldest left-hand player I've ever seen.
James. But this is also the thing. We know he can score it, but let's remember when he first got down there, when D'Antoni first got down there with him, James was 35 and 12 assists, 38 and 15 assists.
He's throwing up ridiculous stuff. 35.
James Harden's best season is the year he didn't even win MVP. And this season, I remember he averaged 36 points a game to go along with 9 assists and about 8 boards a night.
And that was his year where he had more than 2,000 total points and more than 900 plus assists.
Yes.
I mean,
which only Tyner Archibald has done historically.
And people want to say James don't play defense. Well, he's not supposed. That's not his job. He doesn't get paid. He gets paid to make plays and score the basketball. That's what he gets paid. And also he gets key stops at the right time.
And he can
pull the foul on him
in that Houston stretch. He was playing 38, 39 minutes a night. James wasn't low managing nothing.
And playing 82 games. Was not sitting out.
And guarding 1 through 4. And guarding 1 through 4. Because, let's not forget that James has been getting caught on bigs and and knocking that ball away from the bigs a long time now. We ain't talking about no dude with James Harden has probably some of the quickest hands that we see on a night-to-night basis consistently being able to deflect balls. And let's not pause. And let's just say this too. Let's not remember in the bubble that block on Lou Dort for game.
Yeah.
Y'all say he don't
Keep
play
talking,
no defense and he don't
please.
try. That man, that
Keep
listen,
talking.
that 13 right there in Houston, man, stop it. Stop it.
All right, let's
Keep talking.
gonna get MJ back 10.
Ready?
I'm here. I mean, I'll let y'all cook. Y'all said everything. We can move to 11 and 10.
We got Trev in the building now too. So
Shout out Trey
Hey,
Company at 11 and 10.
So I'll start with 11. Let me start.
Allen Iverson and Dirk Nowitzki.
Now you talk about MJ, get right to it. Now these are culture dudes right here.
Yep,
oh my
they
God.
are. As
Oh my God.
AI had the suburban white kid having cornrows and tattoos and arm sleeves. This is just what it is. He influenced an entire hip hop culture. He took a team that was not supposed to be in the finals to the finals. When I tell you heart, soul, pound for pound, like this dude is 6 foot 165, soaking wet with a brick in his pocket. And he had to go against 6'6", 6'7" defensive specialists, shooting guards. And after he gets around them, it was 6'10", 6'11" bigs waiting to try to block his shot. And this man still led the league in scoring twice without sweating.
30 a night at least 3 times in his career.
man,
He took Raja Bell and Tyrone Hill to the finals,
And
Matt Geiger,
and I'm a,
and he went to the finals, and they won a game against the early 2000s Lakers. They won against Kobe and Shaq.
shout out to
Think
Matt
about
Geiger
that.
though.
Think about
and
that. Think
they
about
would've
that
just
team
kept him
he
at
took.
point.
Matt
Imagine if they would have
Geiger.
just kept him at point guard. What he would have did to the league if they would have kept him at point guard.
Oh,
We
that's
would have seen
destruction.
what we see now. We would have seen what we see now with the point guards in the league.
Right.
And that's my point about impact. It's not just the culture. He already impacted this scoring guard league. He just was on the wing because his coach told him to go on the wing.
And look at number 10.
Hey, this dude at number 10 got over 30,000 points just in this stretch from 2000 going
30
forward. That,
30 ran in this stretch. The step back, the one leg, just an extremely unique dude.
That's
Just
the white mamba right there.
Dirk, man. Dirk was he was an impossible cover because he gonna pull fours out. They don't want to come out there, so he gonna drop that on their head. You try to play a small dude on him, he's just gonna take him onto that mid post, low post.
Yep.
And so you
Call
could say Dirk didn't read. Dirk purely as an offensive player, but he was just unique. And that championship in Dallas 2011, I think because it was against the big three in Miami, people put a little bit more sauce on it because it was the anti-Heat thing. But Dirk was problematic for everybody forever. And
I want to throw something in.
Go ahead, John, throw it in.
I'm going to throw this in there. That year that they went to the finals and beat the Heat, he went through, I was to say 20-some games, and he only missed like 10 free throws to go along with averaging a quarter a night, knowing that he had to get that quarter. I need y'all to understand that. They needed every bit of that quarter every night. And anything you got to say about he didn't win enough championships, well, another player on this list is who took them. Another 2 players on this list is who took them.
And you look at Dirk, and then we go get to 9 and 8. Who was the other great player that Dirk had? Old Jason Kidd.
Right.
Young Steve
Tyson
Nash.
Chandler Marion was solid.
Michael Finley.
He Karan Butler. Yeah, Karan Butler, but Karan got hurt.
Karan got hurt the championship year.
Right.
So no dudes were no slouches, but Dirk didn't play with another multiple-time All-Star for the majority of his career.
Especially in the prime of their career.
Not in the prime, right? That's true.
Please keep talking, please. Thank you.
All right, 9 and 8. And we're gonna let Trav get in right here since he's with us. 9 and 8.
We got number 9.
9 is D Wade, right?
And number 8 is Kevin Garnett.
Just look at D Wade, man. D Wade, they named him. Got the nickname Flash. D Wade did everything. I'm talking about for mid range. It's one of the top guards defensively and block shots. Am I correct? Besides John Wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Besides John Wall.
Under 6'4", I think it is 6'4" and under, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Everything he did from that 03 to that, I want to say that 2012, 2013 was on an elite level. He took a back seat 11, 12, 13, and 14, and he still was producing. Gold medalist. Am I correct?
Yep.
Hey,
multi.
He just got one, but
he just got one.
He was a fool in the one that he was in, though.
Yes, he was bald head. The bald head.
He might have been the best player. He might have been the best player in the world during that time.
Right.
08, 09 Wade was another level.
Yes.
He was on another stratosphere.
Yes.
I think that was the year he averaged 30.
That was the year he averaged 30 in the first team All NBA. Yep.
Dude, he's one of a kind, man. And speaking of this dude on the screen, man, he's in one of the best Hall of Fame classes ever.
He did it all. Accolade-wise.
He was the modern. He was a 2021 power forward.
Yeah.
20 years in advance.
Yes.
2010 and 5, like he said on the commercial. You know how we get down. 2010 and 5. Talking to himself.
What? Both of these Chi-Town cats, man. Both on Chi-Town representatives, man. They go hard, man.
South Carolina. So
but you ask him where he from. We got the video. Isaiah vouched for him. It is what it is. Your uncle Isaiah. Uncle Isaiah vouched for him. Yes, your mentor. Yes.
So, all right, man. Number 7.
7 is
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Shaquille O'Neal. Now can I start this real quick?
Go ahead.
Giannis after you're done.
All I want to say is it's so ironic with these two players being back-to-back on our list, considering that they were both probably through stretches just some of the most dominant players that you probably will ever see. Go ahead, MJ.
Nah, it's just real simple. Prior to what he did to win this title, he was nowhere near this. This is how delicate this list is, because by next year, about 5 people are going to move depending on who wins and depending on what they do during that win. Giannis, Game 6 was absolutely the most dominant, best performance that I have ever seen in a closeout game. Bar none. Everything you needed to do, he did it. And all the things that everybody said he can't do, he shut everybody up and did it. 16 from 18 from the free throw line. The one Achilles heel in this game, he blocked all the BS out, stepped up, and made Phoenix pay every single time.
Sure did.
The mentality that dude has, that he brings to the game, is nothing short than championship level. And he deserved everything that he has received. We have never seen a center dribbling the ball up the floor in our life like this. Like, he literally handles the ball at the top of the key at a center-like position. He created a position. I still don't know what he is. I have no idea. He's what Ben Simmons is supposed to be from what I'm hearing. But I don't even know what I don't know what his position is.
He's
a basketball. He's a basketball player. That's what he is.
That's what he is.
That's exactly what he is.
We talked about if you would draw a basketball player, just draw one. You talk about Tracy McGrady. That's what a basketball player would look like. That's Giannis right now.
Right.
Giannis just, even though he's not what you would call brute strength, like number 6, Giannis just physically overpowering people. And you look at him, you think, oh, long arms, the long stretch. Giannis just is a bull in a china shop. When he go downhill, ain't nobody do nothing. And we talked about rises. You talk about the story of Giannis. From selling sunglasses on the street, man. Non-lottery pick who become, in our eyes, the 6th best player of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The story is incredible. The story is absolutely incredible. When they drafted that man, I had never heard of him. And I know a little bit about international ball. Never heard of him. And look what he is now.
Do y'all understand the leaps of this list that he made? I'm going to tell you like this. If he hadn't won the performance he put game 6, he probably was top 20. What he did put him at 7. What he individually done put him at 7. All the criticism, all the everything, for him to block that out and to focus on the main goal, which is that Larry O'Brien. And he took it. He took him and his team, and he took it. Hey, man.
Yeah, he deserves an applause. And the man that we're looking at right now, just the epitome of dominance.
Yeah. And then you talk about Shaq, the most physically dominating dude we've probably ever seen.
MBE, most dominant ever.
Just the super physical, just him.
And the fact that he could do it whenever he really wanted to, he really could be number 1. He should be number 1 on this list.
Yeah.
Just off that alone.
Shaq number 6 on this list and probably should be like 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably should be like.
And it's funny that that Giannis and Shaq are right there next to each other. Yeah. Think about that. I don't know if you remember, there was a lot of parallels running around during that time that during the playoffs of Shaq and Giannis. It's just funny how they parallel.
All come full circle.
Yeah, Shaq, I gotta agree with Big Shot when Big Shot says he probably should be 1 or 2 on this list.
Yeah.
That he should.
We're going to go 4 and 5 because I think 1, 2, and 3 kind of all need to be talked about together. So let's go 5 and 4.
Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. I just want to lead off and I just want to say this. Over the last 6-7 years, Steph Curry has become one of my 3 favorite basketball players to watch. He is sensational in so many different areas, but I just love the fact that we're talking about a selfless dude who even allowed number 4 to come to his team, do what he does, and still never had worried about taking a back seat, front seat, side to side. He didn't care if he rode on the hood of the car. He just cared that he wanted to listen, man. It's so much good stuff I can say about Steph Curry. I love that dude's game. I love everything about the dude. That's all I gotta say, y'all. Go ahead, man.
We talk about resume, check. Stats, check. Rings, check. Individual awards, check.
Impact on the culture.
Impact has literally changed the geography of the court.
Yep.
We're talking about the two best, the best shooter and the best scorer in the league today.
And maybe ever.
And probably ever. Right.
These are it's really, I don't want to say it like this, Sean, but I gotta say it. Steph is the greatest shooter ever. It's not even a debate. Not even. And Kevin Durant is the best scorer ever, and it's not a debate. The only person who scored, who you can argue with the Kevin Durant thing is coming up on this list. And we can talk about that later. But the reason why this Kevin Durant is the best scorer ever, period. If you want to argue, go argue with your mom.
And it's from a skill aspect.
Correct.
That's what it. And when people talk about, he don't have these scoring titles, and he don't. But the thing about it is, scoring is an art. It's an art form. Like, you have to really put in the work to, hey, I'm going to get to this spot, and when I get to this spot, it's a bucket. I'm going to use this man. I'm going to use this man's body against him so I can get where I want to. I'm going to shoot over you. I'm going to use my handle to get the way he scores is an art form, because he can literally pick you apart anywhere on the floor.
I think lucky he's not selfish.
And that's what I'm about to say, Big Shot. Let's put it in perspective. Dude that led the league in scoring 4 times, and he's only taking 20 shots per game, like twice in a season.
Goodness.
How you do that?
Efficiency.
We have never seen somebody put the ball in the basket more effortless than Kevin Durant in our life.
How you do that?
Never. It's never been that simple.
And the thing about it, him going to Golden State, all this about his career and black eye and all this, he showed I can play with anyone.
He showcased himself as being the best player in the game when he went there.
I can play with anyone, and I can still be me. I can play with anyone. I can go play with a group of all-stars. Mm-hmm. I can go play with non-all-star. I will still be the best. He
showed that in the Olympics.
And you know something?
Be the best.
And you know something? Even as we talk about his scoring, he has also showed I can guard position 1 through 5. If you need me to be a rim protector, I can be a rim protector. Do you understand what it looks like to have this guy? You can put him as your proverbial center on defense, lose no rim protection, lose no defense, and now your biggest guy has to guard him on the perimeter.
Oh my God!
I watched them in person play the Nuggets. They were down 23 in the second quarter. They came back and won the game. He literally put them on his back on both ends of the floor, and he was guarding Jokic. Jokic was the only person that gave him trouble. That was it. When Jokic tried it, you know how Jokic tried that little slow crossover? It wasn't going. So when Jokic gave him trouble, it's because Jokic put that 7 foot, 270 frame on him and backed him down. That was it.
Yeah.
And now we got the crown jewels of the list. 1, 2, 2 and 1 right here.
Tim Duncan.
15-time
Kobe Bryant.
The Beast himself.
And LeBron James.
The academic.
Simply put, the 3 most winningest dudes.
Yep.
The 3 guys who I think if you said at your position, if we, this is a bit of a positionless ball, but if we had to say position, I think these are the 3 best dudes at their respective positions over the last 20 years. And the resume, the MVPs, the rings, positionless ball, the way they change, like everything about these three. I think these three do, as much as I love Kevin Durant, and I think Kevin Durant is just an unbelievable talent, there is still a separation with these three.
And let's flip that number 3 too. Keep going. I'm gonna flip that 3.
And I think you could have put these three to me. If you would have told me you had Kobe 1, LeBron 2, Duncan 3, I would any order of these three. I'm not upset.
And to even flip that number 3 for the even more, 3 decades. These dudes,
3 decades.
These dudes played 3 decades and still was a whole problem. All 3 decades.
All three of them.
3 different eras, elements, styles of play. 3 different ones. Tim Duncan, he played in the big man era, the pick and roll era, the 3 happy era. Still 17 and 10 at minimum. Kobe
and he
won.
Won.
Most importantly, won titles in all 3 decades. Kobe, however you wanted to put it out there, won 5 championships. Bron, he's still playing right now and is still looked at as a top 10 player, and he's in year 17. LeBron is going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in scoring.
Actually, this
19.
This is 19. Yeah, this is 19.
Christ. Even worse. I heard he got smaller. For this season.
He playing against his son's high school teammates.
Jesus.
So I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, but being from Ohio and seeing LeBron and all of the things and everything else, LeBron James as a number 1 overall pick has not only succeeded and overdone himself, he set a total different standard for himself. Like we gotta look, we want to talk objective and we want to talk ball. So let's talk. We talking about a dude that took a Cleveland organization, turned them into a winner, left and went to college for 4 years and learned from Pat Riley with Dwayne Wade, his best friend, and Chris Bosh.
Keep talking.
Came back to Cleveland and they went to 4 straight finals. 4.
Keep talking, man.
Then
and
after
beat
that,
73 and 19.
Oh my God! Listen, came back from 3-1.
Keep talking.
He is the reason why a lot of people still to this day even watch basketball, because they want to see this man. He is the ticket. At the end of the day, we got to call it what it is. We want to talk
with
El Capitan.
If with all the hype that was around him coming into the league, if you would have told me he would have been half of this, I would have said he more than met expectation. Like you said, Jerm, he has gone well above what the hype was. He has passed it a long time ago, and this dude his slow down years. Like you talk about what people's year when they get real old. His washed up years, and we talk about washed king. He gonna be 20. He gonna be getting 26 and 6 at like 8.
You want to know something funny? This is LeBron James is one of those players that we have to talk about in this type of way. LeBron, when he first came into the league, would have been successful had he been a point guard, a small forward, or a power forward. He would have been successful at 3 different positions.
MJ always said like Tim Duncan never had a rookie year. LeBron
First year
First year
better.
First year better. He was one of the best 25 players in the league when he walked in at 18 years old.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, he was the best player on the Cavs. The only other player that was there, Will was
the best player first, and David Robinson was still there.
Can I say something about LeBron? Can I get this out?
Yes, sir.
live for the people. LeBron James was the best player in the state of Ohio when he was a junior in high school. And I mean, he was better than anybody playing basketball in the state of Ohio.
Ricky Davis.
Anybody playing basketball in the state of Ohio, he was better than.
College,
Anybody.
high
High
school,
school,
college, pro.
junior high, men's league. He was the best player playing basketball in the state of Ohio at 16 years old. What he has done on and off the court for the game of basketball is
Incredible.
at a level, it's at a level where it won't be matched. And he has set a standard for every guy that's in the league and that'll come into the league about their business. They will be about their business.
Yep.
He said it about their business. You know what? We don't control the deck. We can't stack the deck. We're gonna control the deck. We're gonna make our own deck, and this is how we're gonna move forward. What he's done for what he has empowered the people around him, and they was worried, oh, he has a posse and hanger-ons and all that. No. He had business. They developed business partners. Rich Paul, Maverick. Those weren't hanger-ons. Those were business partners. At 18 years old, oh yeah, they don't know. They trying to figure it out. He's done the best job of any athlete at figuring out the business.
Yep.
Of okay, you know what? You're gonna make a lot of money off me. You're about to make a lot. He probably realized, oh, Nike gave me $90 million at 18 years old. But that means they probably gonna make $90 billion off me.
Yep.
So he started to figure it out. Oh, okay. All right. This is how we're gonna run it. Nah, go ahead, Rich. Go be a certified agent. Don't even worry about it. When I get that third, when I come up on my third deal, you got me. I'm gonna go rock with these people. We gonna learn from them. And then we gonna control it. Clutch is running the league.
Yep.
LeBron. And as far as on the court, we ain't seen nobody. I think the only person that's probably done it consistently at a level like that for over 15, was the Cap. Was Kareem. That was it.
Yep. The dude he about to pass.
Exactly. And that's the only one we seen. LeBron, like I said, people think, oh, you don't like LeBron. I'm a LeBron. I'm not. I'm a fan of LeBron and how he moves and what he's done and what he's going to do. Period. That's why he's number one on this list.
Everybody,
none of us agreed.
Everybody had LeBron number one.
Unanimous.
Yeah.
That was the first unanimous person. There was no argument. There was nothing nobody said. Personal biases aside, personal preferences aside. You cannot deny a 4-time champion, 4-time MVP, 4-time finals MVP, one of the best players to ever put a pair of shoes on, to ever have his own signature shoe, probably the best player we ever seen at 18 years old in the NBA. Listen,
and watch this. And watch this. And he did it in an era in which the player and the fan had direct communication with each other via social media. If y'all don't think that's significant, go back and look at The Last Dance when Jordan was going through that gambling debacle and how he handled that. And think about how that would have been if social media was there back in the day.
Yeah, he's played in an unbelievable spotlight. He's played an unbelievable spotlight, and he has handled himself unbelievably. And then last but not least, certainly, man, Kobe. The thing I'm gonna say about Kobe, growing up here in Chicago area, I think basketball fans, except for in LA, let the Kobe Mike thing dominate the conversation when the conversation should have been that this dude has you could say he copied Mike or whatever, but how many people get that close? Everybody on this screen has played ball and said, "Oh, I pattern my game after this dude." Or we get on the court, I'm gonna be this dude, and nobody gets close.
No,
that dude got real close.
He got real close and did it, and folks hated on him for getting real close.
and let's be fair. There were some things that he did better than Mike.
He did better than Mike, right?
That's the scariest part of this whole thing, Big Shot. That's scary.
And he is somebody who I think, except for Laker fans and people who know, man, that's somebody I think another person we should have. Not we, because y'all appreciate him more than the that he got. Because
and I've never seen an NBA player in which I could say he has nothing left to give. He's
the definition maxed out.
Emptied the clip. Not one extra thing you could say, well, maybe he should have worked on this, or maybe he should have focused more on this area of his game. There was nothing more that dude could have done in his career. Nope. He left everything out there. And that's probably the reason why he was able to impact the game after he left, because he knew he could look in the mirror and said, I did everything that I could, and he could let go and give the love and pay the homage to these players coming in and inspire players like Giannis to do what they do. Inspire Devin Booker to do what he do. Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum, even Kevin Durant and LeBron James themselves. Kyrie Irving. Listen to these people that I am naming. These are the faces of the NBA that the second Kobe calls them, they stop what they're doing, shut up and listen.
He was probably nobody loved it like he did.
Do y'all understand this dude and what he did? Everything he did came back full circle. I'm talking about from the biggest failure, 3 air balls against this one team. He came back full circle and scored what, 60?
60
in his final game. 60. Get it, shoot it. No, I don't want to shoot it. Out of all the times, Kobe don't want to shoot the ball. They was telling him to shoot it, and he didn't want to shoot it. He had to.
He shot that time for that night. But unbelievable. So look, that is the list. 1 through 25. How does your list compare to our list? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? We're going to come back with a part 2 and give y'all some of the debates and the disagreements. There were some. Trust me. We were some, but we're not going to take up much more of y'all time. We about to go watch Sunday Night Football ourselves. So, Seen is the family. 94 Feet of Life is a Facebook group. Follow the YouTube. Follow the Facebook page. Ron, MJ, Ham, Trav, Germ, Coach Les in the building. 94 Feet of Life, basketball for the people. Sign out.